Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Let us pray. Almighty God, where you have called us to govern this province, we ask your help to make decisions and laws that will be just and will promote the interests of the people. Almagtige God, ons bid dat u gedurende ons vergaderings ons die nodige wysheid sal gee en ons motiewe suiwer sal hou en dat u ons sal help om ons tekortkominge te oorkom en al ons besluite aan u op te dra. Sikelele ilizwe letu nabantu balo, umusile ukulungu kwipondo letu. Nkosi sikelele i Afrika. Hina abantuano bayo. Kukeli zayo. Inike ikolo i Afrika. All this back in your holy name. Amen. Please be seated. Order, the Secretary shall read the two orders of the day.
Introduction and first reading, Western Cape Additional Adjustments Appropriation Bill 2017-18 financial year, B2 2018. And
focuses on budgeting for people. Recognizing that economic growth and development is critical to improve living standards and socio-economic conditions, and therefore the pursuit thereof remains a top priority of this government. Deputy Speaker, sedert die Minister van Finansies sy hoofbegroting in die parlement ter tafel gelê het op 23 Februarie 2018, het ons nou weer 'n nuwe Minister van Finansies by Nasionale Tesourie. Akbarajing Speaker, ek verwelkom die terugkeer van Minister Nene by die Nasionale Tesourie. Minister Nene sal eers die Nasionale Tesourie moet skoonmaak, want die agente van staatskaping is deur sy voorganger Minister Gigaba in die Nasionale Tesourie ontplooi. Ongelukkig het die Gupta-dogma aspekte van die nasionale begroting vertroebel en herbesinning is noodsaaklik as ons uit begrotingsperspektief 'n nuwe begin wil maak. Dit sluit in die bestuur van die uitgawekant van die begroting en die verhoging in die BTW werklik noodsaaklik was gegee die ekonomiese en fiskale konteks in Suid-Afrika. Honorable Deputy Speaker, it is my intention to write to Minister Nene to request him to restore the credibility and integrity of the National Treasury as the supreme fiscal authority in South Africa. Minister Gigaba's order. Minister Gigaba's arrival, Honorable Deputy Minister, Minister Gigaba's arrival at the National Treasury initiated the stripping of institutional fiscal powers and responsibilities as provided for in the Constitution and in the Public Finance Management Act. Former President Zuma and former Minister of Finance Gigaba captured the National Treasury through a budget mandate paper. I will, Honorable Deputy Speaker,
Order.
It's still relevant.
Order.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, I will formally request Minister Nene to withdraw the budget mandate paper and restore the institutional and fiscal integrity of the entire fiscal framework. Honorable Deputy Speaker, let me now turn to the global economic outlook. The global economic growth expanded by 3.7% in 2017 and is forecast to increase to 3.9% in 2018 due to the accelerated growth in emerging economies. Growth in advanced economies accelerated from 1.7% to 2.3%, while growing in emerging economies, Honourable Deputy Speaker, rose from 4.4% to 4.7% in 2017. Over the medium term, economic growth in advanced economies is expected to remain unchanged at 2.3% in 2018 before slowing down marginally to 2.2% in 2019. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the emerging markets, Chinese growth is forecast to remain strong at 6.6% in 2018 and 6.4% in 2019. But, Honourable Deputy Speaker, it is India's remarkable economic growth rate that is expected to outpace China at 7.4% in 2018 and 7.8% in 2019. This is spectacular growth globally. Following close, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Indonesia's economy is forecast to expand by 5.3% in 2018 and further to expand by 5.5% in 2019. One of the reasons why we are excited about this particular growth is because Minister Windy and I have recently also met with the Trade Minister of Indonesia, because we are busy doing business and sending market and business delegations to that part of the world. In sub-Saharan Africa, growth is expected to pick up further and reach 3.3% in 2018 and 3.5% in 2019, partly due to the continued, and we are happy for the economic recovery in Nigeria from the 2016 recession. Also, according to Stats SA figures that was released today, Honourable Deputy Speaker, South Africa's economy grew by 1.3% in the 2017 financial year. That gives us hope. Over the medium term, growth is forecast to recover and accelerate to 1.4% in 2018 and further accelerate to 1.9% in 2019. Honourable Deputy Speaker, let me now turn to the impact of the drought on the agricultural sector in the Western Cape. The impact of the drought in the Western Cape economy is higher than previously anticipated. A whole new water economy is emerging out of this crisis, and we need lots of innovation in agriculture to ensure the crisis enables us to remain competitive. Farmers are innovative at best. Honourable Deputy Speaker, agriculture and agro-processing contribute to combined 54 billion rand to the provincial gross value added, a measure of all goods and services provided by the agricultural sector. Of the province export, 52% comes from the agriculture and agro-processing sectors that Minister Windy is driving. A report by his department, the Department of Agriculture, in collaboration with the Bureau for Food and Agricultural Policy, estimates that the impact of the drought equates to an average production decline of 20%. The agricultural sector in the province has, on average, had to cut its water use by 60%, and some areas have already drawn down the entire water allocation. The impact of the drought is already evident in record wheat production losses. Export volumes of agricultural products from the province are expected to decline between 13% and 20% this year. Honourable Deputy Speaker, my colleague has already last year in the adjustment budget indicated that the impact of the avian flu on poultry farmers in the province has been about 800 million rand. Furthermore, thunderstorms and hail recently destroyed about 200,000 cartons of late-season plums. Honourable Deputy Speaker, let me now turn to employment. The most recent job numbers from Stats South Africa released showed employment numbers for the fourth quarter in 2017 and they revealed the major impact of the drought on farm worker employment in the Western Cape. The combined average agricultural employment for the second, third and fourth quarters of 2016 compared to that of 2017 was a decline in 31,000 jobs. Despite this, the Western Cape has reported the lowest unemployment rate of 19.5% in South Africa. Honourable Deputy Speaker, when you have a crisis like this, you need to have a fiscal strategy to respond to this. Honourable Deputy Speaker, our strategy is clear. Fiscal consolidation. Order.
Order. Honourable Janki, I've given you enough latitude now. You're making comments about everything. Give the Minister a chance. It's the Minister's time today. Minister, you may proceed. I'm not curbing interjections. I'm saying you must contain yourself. You're making interjections on all the comments of the Minister. Be more selective. Minister, you may continue.
Thank you. Honourable Speaker, our strategy in this crisis is clear. We have adopted at the Cabinet level a fiscal strategy, fiscal consolidation, fiscal discipline and fiscal sustainability will continue to underpin the Western Cape 2018 budget. Several fiscal and service delivery risks remain, such as the current drought in the water crisis, the growing demand for provincial government services, the reductions to departmental baselines, increase in the value-added tax, and uncertain outcome of the wage national negotiations. But, Honourable Deputy Speaker, guided by the Western Cape fiscal strategy and fiscal and budget policy principles, our fiscal response centres on maintaining stability and sustainability of the provincial framework whilst mitigating and managing identified risks to ensure the delivery of the objectives of this government from 2014 to 2019. How do we respond to these risks? As a first step towards ensuring the sustainability of the provincial fiscal framework and provide for unforeseen and unavoidable events, the province has protected the provision of reserves from the previous MTEF over the new MTEF. Amounts of 328 million set aside for 2018-19, 446 million in 2019-20, and another 470 million in 2021 are provided for in the Fiscal Stabilisation Reserve to deal with potential volatility in the fiscal framework relating to national transfers, including the provincial equitable share and the cuts in the conditional grants. Funding held in the reserve for unforeseen and unavoidable expenditure, Honourable Deputy Speaker, amounts to 187 million in 2018, 197 million in 1920, and 208 million is set aside for unforeseen, unavoidable expenditure in 2020-2021. Honourable Deputy Speaker, amounts to deal with service load pressures, as I will later refer to the Minister of Health, the Minister of Education, and the Minister of Social Development. There are enormous service load pressures on these departments. And for that, we have set aside 362 million rand is provided for in the 18-19 budget, 474 million in 2019. It became clear to the Cabinet that any further cuts to their budgets would pose a serious service delivery risk to our people. This budget for people is a direct response to the pleas from the ministers to protect the people, the citizens of the Western Cape. Allocations have therefore been made to sustain current services over the MTEF, particularly in key frontline services in education, health and social development. And therefore, Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am pleased to announce that 362 million rand is provided for in 18-19, 474 million in 1920, and 489 million in 2021 to manage the increased service load pressures and enable the Western Cape government to deliver on its frontline service delivery. I believe that the interventions in this regard include maintaining the personnel expenditure ceilings as a mechanism to manage employee headcounts and avoid crowding out of other expenditure. Honourable Deputy Speaker, let me now turn to the water crisis, the worst drought in decades, and ensuring water crisis threatens not only the economic productivity of the province, but also the socio-economic development of our people. To mitigate the impact of the water crisis on the strategic government services and priorities, the Western Cape Provincial Government established a joint operations centre for the Provincial Disaster Centre to coordinate the provincial response. During the 2017-18 adjusters estimates in this House, Honourable Members will recall that we have tabled a budget of 165 million rand was allocated in this current financial year and 157 million for the 18-19 financial year towards the drought response. These allocations are used for, amongst others, water resource infrastructure projects at schools, boreholes for health, social development facilities, additional water-saving measures such as rainwater tanks, gutters, downpipes, as part of housing projects, drought relief, fodder for research, herds, the drought communication campaign and boreholes to provide drinking water to our rural communities, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and therefore I am pleased to announce that an additional 100 million rand has been set aside in this new financial year with the Provincial Revenue Fund towards the droughts and the pursuing water crisis. The national government has made available disaster relief grants for provinces and some of our municipalities here of 423.7 million in the 2017-18 financial year, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and 472 million rand in the 18-19 financial year, which can be rapidly released to assist in case of emergency. Honourable Deputy Speaker, if you calculate these numbers, it's about 422 million rand that this government has set aside to deal with this emergency in the context of the drought. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the National Treasury has also made available 6 billion rand to provide for provinces, the Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, Western Cape and the Free State that are currently affected by this drought. We are looking forward to see how this money will also find its way to the various provinces. Honourable Deputy Speaker, now let me turn to the budget spending plans and priorities for this financial year. 2018 budget supports economic development and infrastructure-led growth, the provision of quality education and initiative towards advancing the youth, the wellness program, safety initiatives and good governance practices. Honourable Deputy Speaker, creating opportunities for growth and jobs remain the #1 strategic objective of this government. Creating opportunities for growth and jobs focuses on priority initiatives to support and enabling the economy. These priority areas include manufacturing, exports, agri-processing, tourism, ICT, business process outsourcing and skills development. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am therefore pleased to announce that in the 2018-19 financial year, the Department of Economic Development and Tourism will spend 4 million rand on the municipal services to business project which aims to address red tape to improve the ease of doing business by providing improved municipal services to businesses through specialized business process optimization. Thank you, Minister Windy. This is a great initiative. A total of 6.8 million will be spent on the Access to Finance program. The Access to Finance program is an initiative that will focus on equipping SMME owners with the relevant business knowledge, skills and resources which will contribute towards enhancing the efforts in accessing funding. The department will also spend 1.1 million on the Emerging Business Support Program in the 2018-19 financial year. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Emerging Business Support Program is a joint initiative with a major bank that focuses on equipping SME owners with the relevant business knowledge and skills to enhance their growth, viability and sustainability. A further 6 million rand will be spent on Supplier Development Program. The Supplier Development Program aims to develop and grow the oil and gas businesses by exploiting opportunities within existing and new supply chains. The businesses will be developed through a structured process, business turnaround or business improvement, to ensure that the business is able to move up the value chains of the oil and gas sectors. I'd also like to congratulate the head of the department and the Minister of Economic Development and Tourism, Mr. Solly Fourie, for receiving the Gold Award in the category Best Head of Department Provincial at the recent National Batupele Award ceremony. Madam Speaker, I would also like to congratulate the Department of Economic Development and Tourism, together with the Department of Transport and Public Works and Cultural Affairs and Sport, for receiving the Bronze Awards in the category Best Functioning Provincial Department of the Year at the recent National Batupele Award ceremony. Supporting agri-processing, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Department of Agriculture.
Order. Order.
The Department of Agriculture has received 2.6 billion rand as our halal hub. Over the 2018 MTEF, there will be a particular focus on the recruitment and strategically identified international and local developers and potential investors in the halal industrial park, the establishment of appropriate governance structures, in the halal sector and the strengthening of the domestic halal certification environment. Other agri-processing initiatives over the 2018 MTEF include continuing to promote South African wine in China and Angola to increase the market penetration of South African wines. And in this regard, Honourable Deputy Speaker, we have a relationship with Shandong. They have 94 million people, and as the Premier often says, if all those living in Shandong only drink one glass of red wine, we can see the impact, dramatic impact here in the Western Cape economy. Minister Windy will make further announcements in this regard during his budget address. Promoting tourism. The Department of Economic Development and Tourism, absolutely certainly so, will invest in 173 million of its 1.3 billion rand MTEF budget on tourism promotion in the province. Initiatives planned over the 20 MTEF is to boost tourism, include securing new direct air routes to Cape Town International Airport via the Air Access Project, continuing the position of the Western Cape as the cycling capital in Africa, maximizing culture and heritage tourism for the archaeological and paleontological heritage routes, and managing the negative perceptions of safety by providing proactive and reactive responses to tourists in distress. Honourable Deputy Speaker, let me now turn to Saldanha IDZ. The industrialization of the West Coast region in Saldanha Bay IDZ is well on track, with 34 potential investors signing memorandums of understanding, the completion of a municipal bulk services on the back of the port, the link bridge and the road network, and the upgrading of the wastewater treatment plant and the water supply project. Operations at Saldanha IDZ are expected to commence in the 2018-19 financial year. Congratulations, Minister Windy, for all your hard work. Honourable Madam Deputy Speaker, I am also therefore pleased to announce that over 2018 MTEF, the Western Cape Government has made an additional allocation of 42 million rand towards a long-term lease of 35 hectares economic zone expected in this financial year. The focus over the 2018 MTEF will be on attracting manufacturing and service companies in the green technology space and establishing an operator for the Atlantis SEZ. Thank you, Premier, for your leadership in this regard. Last week, Honourable Deputy Speaker, last week, Premier Zille, during a meeting of the Premier Coordinating Forum that was held last week, and the mayors were present here, we had a PCF meeting in Langebaan. And the Premier called on all the intergovernmental relations structures to expedite the official declaration of Atlantis as an SEZ. Minister Windy is working day and night in trying to make that contact and establishing that with that particular office. A SEZ mandating committee has been established and regularly meets under the leadership of the Minister of Economic Opportunities, Minister Windy, the Minister of Transport and Public Works, Minister Donald Grant, and the Minister of Finance. A special economic zone, a special economic development infrastructure company is being established to drive multiple infrastructure programs. Over the 2018 MTEF, 83 million rand has been allocated to the green economy initiatives across the Western Cape. Honourable Deputy Speaker, let me now move to skills development. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Premier, Ministers Windy, Schäfer, Marais, Plato, Grant, and Minister Fritz are driving the skills revolution of the youth in the Western Cape. Honourable Deputy Speaker, in this regard, I am pleased to announce that an amount of 28.1 million has been set aside over the MTEF for skills development and the apprenticeship game changer. The development of economic development and tourism and business skills development initiative will ensure that the economy produces the necessary skills. The Youth Access Program is a flagship project to be embarked upon over the 2018-19 MTEF in partnership with the City of Cape Town, the Business Process Enabling South Africa, which assists employers in the business process outsourcing sector to implement a work-integrated model for learners. In response to the outcomes of the Rural Development Farm Worker Census, the Agricultural Partnership for Youth Development will focus on improving education and employment prospects of the rural youth. Since 2014, 85 interns have been appointed on farms with external host employers. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am pleased to announce that 21.9 million has been allocated over the 2018 MTEF towards skills development in the agricultural sector. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am also pleased to announce that a young, dynamic farmer, Jacques Beekers, is in the House today. He is also the Deputy Chairperson of the Hacks Valley Table Grapes Association, and his core business is to grow his business, create jobs, create opportunities, empower these workers, and also facilitate export of grapes. Jacques, could you please stand? The apprenticeship game changer aim is to introduce at least 11,300 qualified apprentices into the labour market by 2019 by working with schools, technical and vocational education and training colleges and employers across the 5 priority sectors. Will receive 23.5 billion rand over the 2018 MTEF for the delivery of public and economic infrastructure and related services that promote socio-economic outcomes and safe, empowered and connected communities. This includes the provision and maintenance of public works and roads infrastructure, the facilitation of integrated land services, transport regulation and community-based programs. A safe, reliable and sustainable public transport system is a key lever to improving access to economic opportunity and socio-economic development. The further development and enhancement of the newly established Intelligent Transport Centre, generally known as Transport Data Hub, will enable the alignment and integration of existing databases to improve business intelligence and service delivery. Honourable Deputy Speaker, let me now turn to strategic goal number 2, improve education outcomes and opportunities for youth development. To improve the quality of education in and out of school time, particularly in no and low fee schools, remain a top priority of this government. In addition to increasing learners' literacy and numeracy levels, the initiatives aim to improve young people's access to economic and social opportunities in the province and helping families to support their children and youth through development programs. Education, the Western Cape Education Department will receive 69.8 billion rand over the next 3 years. Efforts will continue to focus on improving the level of language and mathematics in all schools, increasing the number of quality passes in the National Senior Certificate, and increasing the quality of education provision in poorer communities. Enrollment in schools in the Western Cape amount to 1 million learners in 2017 at 1,437 public ordinary schools. In support of the objective of maintaining stability within schools, an additional allocation, Honourable Member, of 533 million rand has been provided for the 2018 MTEF to manage exactly that point, service load pressures, particularly as it relates to increased education demands and learner growth. The learner support scheme is expected to be extended to 59,371 learners in 2018, while 604 learners are expected to benefit from the no-fee option, and 473,000 learners will benefit from the school nutrition program. There will also be particular focus on securing safety in schools in cooperation with the South African Police Services, the City of Cape Town, Metro Police and law enforcement, and community involvement. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the e-learning game changer focuses on improving digital infrastructure at schools. To date, 294 schools have a local area network connecting every instruction room to the internet. Of 788 schools have connectivity coverage at a central venue for learners as well as additional central value for learners. 2015-16, 6,400 smart classrooms have been installed, 910 ICT labs have been upgraded, and 28,808 learner devices have been delivered across the province. Progress has been made in creating an e-culture in schools, setting up an e-admin system in schools, and training teachers on how to use e-technology and e-content in their lessons. We are preparing, Honourable Deputy Speaker, our learners for the 21st century knowledge economy. The Western Cape Government e-portal now has over 11,600 curriculum-relevant digital resources with over 310,000 unique users to date. The Western Cape Minister of Education, Ms. Debbie Safer, will make further announcements in her speech later this month. I would also like to congratulate her department and the head of the department, Mr. Brian Schroeder, for receiving the Silver Award, together with Ms. Jackie Gooch and Minister Grant of the Department of Transport and Public Works in the category Best Head of the Department Province at the recent National Award ceremony in Gauteng. The Western Cape Education Department also received a Silver Award in the category Best Functioning Department of the Year. Outstanding achievement. Early childhood development remains a priority over 2018 MTEF. Within education, the emphasis will be on improving quality of learning in grade R. This will be done through a focus on teacher skills and professional status and on early identification for those who need remedial assistance. The aim is to ensure that grade R year provides an effective foundation for learning. A pilot grade R project is in place to test the impact of support interventions in 100 schools. The Department of Social Development will continue to focus on improving access to and quality ECD education. This includes issues of safety, cognitive development, nutrition, and will increasingly become the focus of ECD interventions in this year. In support of this, Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am pleased to announce that the Department of Social Development receives an additional 123 million rand over the MTEF for ECD subsidies and facility maintenance. Minister Fritz will make further announcements in his budget speech. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the after-school program. The mass participation, opportunity and access development and growth program promotes a philosophy and ethos of healthy living, lifelong activity and lifelong learning. The 2017-18 financial year, approximately 36,000 learners attended the MOD programs regularly and consistently at 181 MOD centres. Over the MTEF 2018, 127 million has been allocated to the MOD program. The Minister will make further announcements during her budget vote. The after-school game changer. The number of learners engaged in a regular and consistent after-school program has increased to 72,043 learners, with 361 no and low-fee schools having registered at the after-school programs in 2017-18. Going forward, the coverage of the after-school game changer will include a grade 4 mathematics and English program, an after-school journal and a research program, a cluster-based coordinated sporting program, as well as mathematics e-learning and Educare Collaborate program. By 2019, 112,000 learners in over 400 schools will have access to after-school programs. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am pleased to announce that the after-school game changer receives an earmarked allocation of 26.5 million for the 2018 financial year to supplement the current funding. Youth development. Providing opportunities for and equipping youth to transition to productive and responsible adults is a key tenet of the Western Cape Youth Strategy. Initiatives aimed at youth development include the Year Beyond and the program and youth cafes. The Year Beyond program placed over 100 learners who received leadership development and training as part of the program, and 22 no school fees, no fee schools to provide academic support in literacy and numeracy to 2,000 learners in 2017-18. Initiated by the Department of Social Development, youth cafes are designed to provide vibrant, positive spaces where young people are afforded the opportunity to access skills development programs, training, workshops and seminars, and entrepreneurial opportunities. I had the pleasure to visit some of these together with the Minister of Social Development. 6 youth cafes have been established across the province in Rocklands, Vangate Mall, in George, in Nyanga, Oudtshoorn, and Vrygrond. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am pleased to announce that an additional 4 youth cafes are planned for 2018-19. The Minister of Social Development, Minister Fritz, will make further announcements during his budget speech. Provincial Strategic Goal number 3, increasing wellness and safety and tackle the social ills. Provincial Strategic Goal is premised on creating healthy, inclusive, safe and socially connected communities. Key priorities are targeted interventions aimed at improving the safety and the well-being of the Western Cape's citizens. Access to quality health services is one of the cornerstones of social and economic development in this region. The Department of Health receives the biggest budget, 23 billion rand in 2018-19, 23.9 billion in 2019-20, and 25 billion rand in 2021 to improve health outcomes. The Department of Health will continue to pursue the Healthcare 2030 plan and their outcomes through, amongst others, the continued implementation of the Western Cape Wellness Campaign, the first 1,000 days, 1990 strategy, and the community-oriented primary care initiative. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am pleased to announce that more than 300 million rand will go towards community-based care for HIV, AIDS, and TB over the 2018 MTEF. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the whole of society approach aims to provide safe, socially connected, resilient and empowered citizens and communities with equitable access to services and opportunities through the alignment of resources, synergized effort and investment through collaboration with partnerships by all spheres of government, the private sector, NGO and civil society. Under the leadership of Minister Mbombo, this guided by the overarching principle of human rights, sustainability, social cohesion, poverty alleviation and citizen-centric approach. This approach has culminated in identification of 4 strategic areas, namely education, social wellness, the municipal economy, and neighbourhood spatial development. It was quite enlightening to hear the presentation that was made during the MTech engagements about this particular project, led by Dr. Beth Engelbrecht. Further rollout of this initiative is envisaged in Drakensberg Municipality, and I see the Deputy Mayor of Drakensberg Municipality in the gallery, also in Khayelitsha, in Menenberg, Hanover Park area. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Minister of Health, Dr. Nomafrens Mbombo, will make further announcements in this regard during her budget address. Social development services for the poor and most vulnerable. The Department of Social Development will provide community and social welfare services to the most vulnerable in the province. Received 2.2 billion rand in 2018-19, 2.3 billion, Minister Fritz, in next year, 1920, and 2.5 billion in 2021. The amounts include additional allocations of 6 million in 18-19, 6.3 million in 1920, and 7 million in 2021. To manage the service pressures and ensure the provision of comprehensive network of social development services. This is particularly important, Honourable Deputy Speaker, to mitigate the effect of the drought on the livelihoods of people living in rural areas, especially amongst farm workers. To assist in meeting the growing need, additional funding. To assist in meeting this growing need, Honourable Deputy Speaker, an additional amount of 20 million rand in 2018-19, 28 million in 1920, and 30 million in 2021 has been provided for combating violence against women. Minister Fritz will make further announcements in this regard. Child and youth care centres play a vital role in not only providing care and protection of vulnerable children, but also providing an environment to rehabilitate children in conflict with the law. The Department of Social Development, Honourable Deputy Speaker, will receive an additional 21.6 million in next financial year and 22.9 million rand in 2021 to meet the growing need for bed spaces in these facilities and ensure compliance with the relevant norms and standards. Honourable Deputy Speaker, care, support and protection of persons with disabilities. Care and support and protection of persons with disability remain a priority of this government and the Department of Social Development. Honourable Deputy Speaker, thanks to the leadership of Premier Zille and Minister Fritz, I am pleased to announce that 534 million, R500 million, has been budgeted for services to persons with disabilities over the 2018 MTEF for the provision of bed spaces in appropriate facilities as well as daycare services to persons with disabilities. The Minister of Social Development will unpack this R500 million for persons with disabilities during his budget vote. Honourable Deputy Speaker, improving safety in communities. As part of the Department of Community Safety Improvement Programme, professional policing will be also part of this agenda of the Western Cape allocation, as well as the allocation to the Western Cape Police Ombudsman, 36.2 million over the MTEF. Through various partnerships, the department has identified several high-risk areas. Minister Plato will explain this during his budget speech. But one of these safety priority areas include, and I also see the Deputy Mayor of Drakensberg will be Paarl East, subsequently received support also from the department in collaboration with the stakeholders in respect to the safety kiosk, the neighbourhood watch training and safety plans. Madam Speaker, the Minister of Community Safety will deal with those matters. Improving road safety. The Western Cape Provincial Traffic provides a 24-hour, 7 days a week service to ensure the safety of our road network in cooperation with local law enforcement agencies. Over the 2018 MTEF, the road safety district safety plans will be extended to other areas in the Western Cape with a project plan initiated for the West Coast region, and I also see the MACO member for Finance from Saldanha Bay Municipality in the gallery. The Western Cape Minister of Community Safety, Minister Dan Plato, will make further announcements in this regard during his budget speech. He's working. I'd also like to congratulate the Department of Community Safety, Mr. Gideon Morris, for receiving the Bronze Award in the category Best Head of Department Province at the recent National Batupele Award ceremony. Madam Honourable Deputy Speaker, now let me turn to enabling the resilient, sustainable, quality and inclusive living environment. Integrated human settlements. The Western Cape, and I'm glad Minister Madikizela is listening, the Western Cape government remains committed to improving the living conditions of the province citizens, to continue to facilitate and support the creation of sustainable, integrated and resilient settlements in the province. The Department of Human Settlements, Minister Madikizela, is allocated a budget of 7.3 billion rand over the MTEF and will focus on three key priority areas: upgrading of informal settlements, the provision of affordable gap housing opportunities, and prioritize the most deserving and subsidized housing. In 2018-19, the department aims to deliver 18,116 housing opportunities, of which 9,567 will be housing units and 8,693 will be for service sites. The Minister of Human Settlements will continue to prioritize the implementation of catalytic projects in municipalities, which will also include the development of Bela CBD, the Airport Precinct, Forest Village, Itemba, Penil, Kosovo, Philippi, and Thabo Mbeki, and Tsunami, Syferfontein, Themba Letu, Wilderness Heights, amongst others. Honourable Deputy Speaker, Minister Madikizela
Order, order. I think I heard that. Order. Honourable Doug Moore. I think you said something unparliamentary there. Just.
Listen, can I just address you on that? The people of Wilderness Heights have been
order.
waiting for 3 years
Order.
for housing.
Order.
They've been waiting for
Order.
3 years for housing.
Please take your seat.
They've been waiting for 3 years.
Please take
for
your
housing.
seat. I'm not interested in the motivation. Order. Order. I'm not interested in the motivation. You refer to a member across the line as lying. That is unparliamentary. Withdraw that.
I didn't say that the Minister, the MEC for Finance was lying. I said they are lying. In other words, the DA government is lying.
Order.
Because Wilderness Heights is waiting for 3 years for housing.
Order. Honourable Chief Whip. Order.
Deputy Speaker, it was clearly heard by this side of the House that he said, you are lying again. Now, it's unequivocal. Either he withdraws or else he withdraws from the chamber.
Honourable. Order. 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 I have to ask the member, Doug Moore, like we normally do, are you referring to a specific member across the floor? If so, that is unparliamentary.
Deputy Speaker, the you refers to the DA who are lying to the people of Wilderness Heights, not to that MEC, the
Order.
DA.
Are you referring to members in this House? Honourable Doug Moore, are you referring to members in this House? If
I'm
you
referring to the organization called the Democratic Alliance because they have misled the people of Wilderness.
Are you referring to members in this House? Honourable Doug Moore?
It's a collective noun. It's a collective of the DA, not individuals. They are all responsible.
Honourable Premier?
Mr. Speaker, we have an objective situation here. We have the Minister making a speech and referring to Wilderness Heights. And we have the interjection, you're lying again. Now, there is one person speaking, and you are lying again can only refer to that speaker.
Order, order. I don't want to stretch this out too long. Honourable Dagmar, I'm going to give you a last opportunity just to confirm whether, in fact, you refer to a member of this House. If so, that's unparliamentary. If not, we will have to continue. And you will have that on your...
Once again, Deputy Speaker, it's a collective reference to the failure to deliver to the people of Wilderness Heights, despite 3 years of
Are you then confirming that you are not referring to members?
Yes, I'm not. I'm referring to the DA.
Unfortunately,
you, all of you.
I have to take your word for that, but if it's not so, it's on your conscience. Premier? Order. Order. I'm seeing the Premier first.
Deputy Speaker,
Order.
objectively speaking, what the Honourable Doug Moore has now said to you cannot be so, because we have a speaker on the floor and the interjection is you are lying again. That could not objectively be true.
Premier, I take your point. I will hear the Honourable Chief of the last time and then we continue.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. The Honourable Premier is now challenging your ruling, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I would like you to ask her to leave and leave immediately.
Order. I'm not interpreting it that way. As we have done before, the Chair always asks the person whether in fact it refers to a specific member. If the member then says no, he's referring to the party in general, we've always allowed that. But I say this, if the honourable member is deliberately misleading the House, that is something that the Chair will come back to. Member, you may continue. Minister, you may continue.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, Minister Madikizela recently signed a memorandum of understanding with 5 financial institutions operating in affordable housing market.
Order, order. I want the House to come to order now. Is there a point of order?
Yes, a point of
Honourable
order.
Gillian?
Is it parliamentary for the MEC?
Order, order.
Can I address you, Deputy
Just make your point of order.
Yes, the point of order is, but MEC Fritz is out of order. I'm on the floor and he's interjecting.
I'm waiting for your point of order.
My point of order is MEC Madikizela is saying to our members this side, shut up. Is it parliamentary to use that word?
We've ruled, thank you, we've ruled that unparliamentary before. Honourable Madikizela.
Yes.
Order. Order. We have ruled that reference as unparliamentary before.
Well, I'm referring to the ANC. I said the ANC must shut up. That's what I said. I said, just shut up.
Order, no. Order, order. Please take your seats. Please take your seats. Honourable Madikizela, I can see the strategy, Honourable Madikizela, I can see the strategy, but it doesn't work in that case. Order. Please withdraw that. You are referring
What exactly must I withdraw, Deputy Speaker?
the reference. Order. Just take your seat. The reference across the floor to a person speaking to say shut up has been ruled unparliamentary before.
Okay.
And
Deputy Speaker, I said to the ANC, shut up.
Member,
And if the ruling that you made before, can I finish? Can I finish? The ruling that you made before must apply on this one as well.
Order, Minister Madikizela. In all fairness, the ANC as an organisation cannot speak in that sense to say shut up. So I cannot uphold that one. Were you referring to a specific person? Yes? Order.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, the words was very clear. You can check Hans out. Shut up, Dagmore, he said. That was the words. Very clearly directed at an individual here.
Let me reserve my view on that. I will come back. I'll check Hansard and I'll come back on that one. I want us, please, to stop this frivolous stuff now and get to the serious stuff of the budget. Minister Meyer, please continue. And I want to appeal to the House. Honourable Beerwinkel, I'm also speaking to you. I want to appeal to the House now to please come to order and to allow the Minister to deliver his budget. We have long debates waiting in the next month on the various budget votes. That will be the opportunity for interacting with the ministers for that. Why are you standing?
Just to bring to your attention, Deputy Speaker, in spite of your ruling, MEC Madikizela has now just told me to shut up.
I've asked for us to stop that. I will check Hansard and revert to the House. Minister, you may continue. Order.
Honourable.
Order.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Back to serious business in this House. Honourable, the Minister Madikizela has recently signed a memorandum of understanding with 5 financial institutions operating in the affordable housing market. These institutions include Absa Bank, First National Bank, Nedbank, Standard Bank, and SA Home Loans. With the signing of the MOU, the parties pledged their commitment to accelerating the delivery of affordable housing in the Western Cape. This public financial partnership will develop a more effective and user-friendly finance-linked individual subsidy application process. All efforts by the parties are geared towards assisting the affordable market access finance and increase home ownership in the Western Cape. Minister Madikizela will make further announcements in this regard. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Regional Socio-Economic Programme, also known as RCEP, and Violence Protection through Urban Upgrade, also known as VPUU, aims to improve quality of life through urban, social and spatial upgrading and build safe and sustainable neighbourhoods. Several projects such as the establishment of community centres, rubbish collection points, upgrading pedestrian walkways, development of live-work units, a splash park and commercial centres have been completed in Saldanha Bay, Swartland and Breda Valley municipalities under the auspices of the RCEP. The Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning will expand the RCEP to 7 new municipalities over the MTEF. It is Berg River, Witzenberg, Stellenbosch, Cape Agulhas, Prince Albert, Mossel Bay and Pitu municipality. Minister Grant. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am pleased to announce that an earmarked allocation of 52.3 million rand has been set aside over the MTEF for this specific initiative to assist municipalities in this region. The violence protection through urban upgrade program will continue to be implemented in Manenberg, Hanover Park, Gunya, Khayelitsha, and the rest of the city of Cape Town. Honourable Deputy Speaker, let me now turn to the embedding good governance. The digital government, the Department of the Premier has allocated 4.4 billion over the 2018 MTEF to provide strategic policy direction and maintain the provision of professional corporate services for this province. This includes the Centre for E-Innovation program, which includes the Centre for E-Innovation, receiving 2.8 billion rand over the MTEF. The progress made to date in respect of ICT landscape will be maintained with the emphasis on the related security and governance. The rollout of the broadband is supported through an earmark allocation, Honourable Deputy Speaker, of 956 million over the MTEF. Enhancing good governance, the Provincial Treasury over the MTEF will receive an allocation of 1 billion rand to deal with supporting enhanced good governance together with the Department of the Premier and the Department of Local Government. The Department will also continue to focus on its core business in terms of the PMFA and MFMA responsibilities whilst driving its good financial governance agenda. The Department will continue to support provincial departments and municipalities, particularly in the area of supply chain management processes and governance, and including improved e-procurement, as well as the adoption of the district approach to drive supply chain management efficiencies within municipalities. Within the Western Cape Government, all provincial public entities, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and 85% of departments received clean audits in 2016-17, with the remainder of the departments where the audit outcomes have been pronounced by the Auditor General received unqualified audits. The Western Cape Government will continue to provide support and capacity building towards strengthening good governance. I am particularly pleased, Honourable Deputy Speaker, that for a number of years we now have again all the public entities in this government have received clean audits. Honourable Deputy Speaker, now I would like to turn to the Western Cape Gambling, Racing and Amendment Bill. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Provincial Treasury has now gazetted for public comment after approval by the Cabinet the draft Western Cape Gambling and Racing Amendment Bill and the accompanying draft regulations as part of the province's broader strategy of domestic resource mobilization. The call for comment closes on the 11th of April 2018, where after due consideration will be given to the comments received before the draft bill and accompanying draft regulations will be administered through the normal parliamentary process. The Department of Local Government is allocated 791.8 million over the MTEF to monitor, coordinate and support municipalities to be effective in fulfilling their developmental mandate and facilitate service delivery and disaster resilience through engagement with government spheres and social partners. Given the current water crisis, the Department plans to support municipalities to prevent water shortages by providing technical. The Department will continue to implement the Tusong Centre and Community Development Worker Program over the 2018 MTEF in support of increased access to government services and assistance to municipalities in bettering the lives of the citizens. Further, in conjunction with the Provincial Treasury, the Department will continue to provide municipal capacity building programs in support of strengthening municipal governance. Honourable Deputy Speaker, infrastructure-led growth. Investment in infrastructure remains critical for improving access to quality services to the citizenry while supporting economic growth. Honourable Deputy Speaker, over the MTEF, 25.2 billion rand has been set aside and will be invested in infrastructure, with an additional 1.4 billion rand will be invested in the broadband and 236 million rand will be set aside for private-public partnerships. A key focus, Honourable Deputy Speaker, remains the emphasis of the preservation of existing infrastructure assets and addressing infrastructure maintenance backlogs. The province is responding to the drought and the water crisis by putting measures in place to ensure business continuity and to intensify water-saving interventions at public institutions over the MTF. The Western Cape government will continue to deliver its objectives of its infrastructure-led growth strategy. Infrastructure investment and the maintenance thereof is critical for the promotion of job creation, broadening the economic base, and raising growth potential, unlocking economic opportunities, and addressing socio-economic needs and challenges. Honourable Deputy Speaker, let me now turn to the education infrastructure over the MTF. Over the MTF, 4.7 billion rand will be spent on education infrastructure. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am pleased to announce that 14 new schools and 18 replacement schools will be delivered over the 2018-19 MTF. This represents an estimated of 985 classrooms, as well as upgrades and additions to 6 schools. The following key infrastructure projects will be delivered over the medium term: Kraaifontein High School, Sirikamfa High School, Delft High School, Eden Central Karoo District, Concordia Primary School, and Tembaletu Senior Secondary School number 2 in George. In the Overberg region, 2 schools. Cape Winelands region, I also see the speaker of the Cape Winelands region here. They will also, in the area of Stoffland Primary School in the Dorans, Honourable Member Bekes. West Coast Education District, a new high school in Mooriesburg and Middelpos and Saldanha. 3 donor projects over the 2018 MTF includes a primary school in Stellenbosch, Phase 2 of Jakes Gerwel Entrepreneurial School in Bonnievale, as well as Phase 2 of Itemba Primary School in Vrygrond. The Western Cape Education Department will facilitate a number of drought interventions over the 2018 MTF, with 490 million rand allocated for the following interventions: procurement and installation of water storage tanks at all schools without water tanks, procurement and installation of fire extinguishers to ensure fire safety compliance at schools, testing of existing borehole water quality to implement recommendations on treatment procedures to utilize water effectively and repairing boreholes, investigation into the connection of water storage containers and alternative water sources to ablution facilities at all schools, installation of leak detectors at schools in high-risk municipalities and where high water consumption is evident. The Minister of Education and the Minister of Transport and Public Works will make further announcements in this regard. Let me now turn to health infrastructure. Honourable Minister Mbombo, listen carefully. Over the 2018 MTF, 2.5 billion rand will be invested in health infrastructure, which includes, amongst others, Grooteskier Hospital, Tygerberg Hospital maintenance and upgrade, Observatory Forensic Pathology Laboratory, replacement of the Salt River Mortuary. I recall that the Minister has referred to this last year, replacement of the satellite clinics at Abbotsdale and Chatsworth New Avian Park Clinic at Worcester, upgrades and additions at Easter River Hospital. I'm particularly happy about that hospital. Somerset Hospital, Khayelitsha Hospital, Gansbaai Clinic, Laingsburg Clinic, and a new emergency and upgrade plant at Victoria Hospital and Somerset Hospital. The Minister of Health will make further announcements during her budget. Social development infrastructure. The upgrading and maintenance infrastructure will support the development of social development to deliver access to appropriate social assistance for those citizens unable to support themselves and their dependents. The introduction of the Early Childhood Development Grant includes a component aimed at assisting conditionally registered ECD facilities to comply with health and safety norms and standards as determined by the National Department of Social Development. Honourable Deputy Speaker, this provision allows for the maintenance allocations to these facilities, 7.9 million in the 2018 financial year, 8.4 million in 1920 and 8.9 million in 2021 financial year. The provision has also been made for urgent maintenance work at child and youth care facilities. I had the opportunity to visit one of these centres with Minister Fritz, and I'm particularly happy that this safety and maintenance work can now take place in this financial year. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am pleased to announce that an allocation amounting of 61 million rand has been included in the budget for the Department of Transport and Public Works over the MTF for this specific purpose. Maintenance work will focus on prioritized list of security improvements at various of these facilities. Provision has also been made for the construction of a new dormitory at the Klein William Child Care Centre with an allocation of 19 million rand in the 2018-19 financial year. Transport and public works. The road network is an important catalyst in growing the provincial economy. I want to thank all the colleagues from municipalities that are present here in this house today, because on numerous occasions, and as well as with our engagement with the Premier as part of the speed dating exercises, part of our intergovernmental cooperation, you raise consistently the issue of road and transport networks. The investment in road infrastructure, Minister Grant, amounts to 9.7 billion rand over the 2018 MTF. This investment includes projects identified to promote economic growth in the province that are at various stages of implementation. 2018-19, new projects. New roads to be built in 2018-19 include the Saldanha IDZ zone to the Saldanha Friedenberg Road and the West Coast Road to Langebaanberg. I see the member in the House. Projects completed 2017-18 include the R399 in Piketberg, Plettenberg Bay Airport Road, the reseal of the TR102 in Uniondale, reseal of MR342 Moscas Herbertsdale, and the rehabilitation of Botches Quarry to Swartklip interchange has been completed in the 2017-18 financial year. In 2018-19, major road maintenance projects will include, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Salodis Pass to Gordons Bay, Hermanus to Gansbaai, Wingfield to Melkbos, Beaufort West to Willowmore. I see Honourable Member Dalen, Worcester to Aston, and from Aston to Swellendam, and I see the Honourable Mayor of Swellendam in the House. But Honourable Mayor, don't phone me tomorrow morning, because that amount of 40 million rand will only be made available in the outer year. Also, road construction in Nieuwekloof Pass, Klipwevel to Malmesbury, Rivier Sonder End to Stanford. The Minister of Transport and Public Works, Minister Grant, will provide further detail in this regard during his budget address in this House. Human settlements. Minister Madikizela, you're listening? Yep. A key priority for the Western Cape government is the development of sustainable, integrated human settlements that will allow its residents to access social and economic opportunities close to where they live. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am pleased to announce that an approximately 7.3 billion rand will be spent on housing opportunities over the 2018 MTF. Key initiatives underway and to be rolled out over the MTF include upgrading of 60 informal settlements, or 25,000 household yields with access to clean water, sanitation and electricity following the recent completion of an informal settlement support strategy. The following areas are worth mentioning given the high expected yields. Kayamandi, Stellenbosch, 3,000 households. Grabouw, Theewaterskloof, 5,270 households. Mossel Bay, 3,490 households. Honourable Deputy Speaker, due to the strategic importance of tourism in this province, let me turn to Cape Nature. Cape Nature intends spending approximately 96.2 million rand on tourism infrastructure over the MTF. Cape Nature infrastructure priorities over the 2018 MTF include improvements at Kogelberg Nature Reserve Phase 2. Over the MTF, Honourable Deputy Speaker, the focus will also shift on implementing a more rigorous program with regard to maintenance and upgrades of existing infrastructure across a number of nature reserves, adding value to current facilities that will contribute to the increase in revenue generation. Honourable Deputy Speaker, this government has made a firm commitment to spend money on repairs and maintenance. Honourable Deputy Speaker, through the Ministerial Infrastructure Committee, we have prioritised repairs and maintenance of our infrastructure in the Western Cape. I am therefore pleased to announce that funding for maintenance and repairs over the 2018 MTF accounts for 5.28 billion rand of the total infrastructure project, because as Robin Carlyle used to say, it doesn't make sense to build new infrastructure unless you maintain your existing infrastructure. Maintenance of health infrastructure is identified as a strategic priority for the Department of Health in the 2018 MTF, with specific focus on Tygerberg and Groote Schuur hospitals. The provision for road maintenance and repairs, as well as general buildings, account for 3.135 billion over the MTF, followed by education 1.24 billion, and health 826 million will go to repairs and maintenance. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Western Cape Government is currently in the process of expanding the free public Wi-Fi beyond the initial 384 sites which were identified. This process is subject to the successful conclusion of the contracting process. In this regard, I want to congratulate, on behalf of this government, the work that the Director General, Advocate Gerber, is doing specifically through CEI in terms of the massive rollout of the broadband in this government. Honourable Deputy Speaker, an amount of 1.4 billion rand is planned to be spent on the broadband connectivity over the 2018 MTF. Honourable Deputy Speaker, because the Premier has declared the province a provincial disaster, through her leadership, we have also requested municipalities. We have asked that municipalities also reprioritize their infrastructure budget to deal with the issue of the water. The combined operating expenditure budget for the 30 municipalities in the Western Cape is set at 55.2 billion for 2017-18. The local government capital expenditure in the Western Cape was budgeted for, combined budget of all the municipalities in the Western Cape for capital is 10.1 billion in 2017-18. The municipal capital budget for 2017-18 is 11.6 billion. The increase of 15.3% can be attributed to enhanced water infrastructure spend in support to the drought crisis and bears testimony to the resilient and budget-responsive capabilities of local government in the Western Cape. We want to thank all the municipalities in this House for adjusting your budget, specifically your infrastructure budget, to deal and respond to this crisis. Some of the most noteworthy water-related projects currently being implemented by municipalities throughout the various districts include Eden, the upgrade of the water supply pipeline from Kleinbrak Water Treatment Works to Langeberg Reservoir in Mossel Bay, and for that they have budgeted 13.5 million. Cape Winelands, I see Claire Meyer in the House and the Deputy Mayor of Drakensberg, construction of bulk water supply reservoir at Dwars Rivier, and I also see the colleagues from Stellenbosch Municipality in that particular area. 19 million rand has been made available through the bulk water supply reservoir. Overberg, upgrades to pump station across the district, 5 million. I also see the West Coast refurbishment of the Bitterfontein water scheme, 10 million. Central Karoo expansion of the main pipeline in Beaufort West, 4.2 million. Honourable Deputy Speaker, in the City of Cape Town, 8 of the top 10 capital projects are currently directed towards water augmentation as part of the city's phased approach towards mitigating the risk associated with the drought. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Western Cape additional adjusted estimates. The National Department of Human Settlements reallocated allocations amongst provinces for Human Settlement Development Grant. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am pleased to announce that an additional 100 million rand has been reallocated from other provinces experiencing low spending to the Western Cape for the purpose of accelerating delivery of integrated sustainable human settlements in this province. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am pleased that 57 million rand will be used for bulk infrastructure such as electricity and sewage reticulation in Forest Village and Biola CBD catalytic projects, while 43 million rand will be used with the assistance of the Housing Development Agency to to purchase land for the further development of Imizamo Yetu project in Hout Bay. I'm pleased, Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Minister has confirmed and the HOD that his department have the capacity to spend this particular money in this short space of time. Honourable Deputy Speaker, let me conclude. The adjustment budget will also be provided for the alternative use of drought funding previously set aside in the 2017-18 budget estimates, primarily for the drought and water augmentation initiatives, now to be redirected to municipalities in the province to address the current drought disaster. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I have phoned personally these mayors about their capacity to spend this money. I have also personally contacted many of these senior managers. One of the deputy mayors is in the House that I've contacted about the capacity to spend this money, and he has confirmed that the municipality has the capacity to spend this particular money, specifically since they have contracts and projects already in place. It also provides funding for the safe removal of asbestos in the Eden region. Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Order.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, as a responsible government, we will continue to engage. Honourable Deputy Speaker, as a responsible government, we will continue to engage with all the role players. Minister Windy must now listen carefully. Minister Windy and I, Honourable Deputy Speaker, will soon meet the rating agencies to discuss the impact of the drought and our response strategy. We are determined to turn this crisis into an opportunity. We are also planning to meet with the South African Reserve Bank about the current economic performance and the role of the Reserve Bank in monetary policy. It is also my intention, Honourable Deputy Speaker, to meet with the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank about structural reform strategies and our approach to fiscal discipline as a sub-national government.
Order.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, it is coming. It is coming. It's going to happen. Honourable Deputy Speaker, when a Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Honourable Dagmo, allow the Minister to conclude now.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, when a national government falls apart, you must step in. Honourable Deputy Speaker, we will also engage the National Treasury, as the current fiscal path of the national government will certainly, if we proceed on this fiscal path, will take us over the fiscal cliff by 2022. We need to prevent this at all costs and demonstrate leadership in the fiscal and economic environment. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I would like to thank the Premier of the Western Cape and my Cabinet colleagues for their leadership and support during the finalisation of this provincial budget. For the purpose of this member that makes so much noise, Premier Zille spent large part of a Sunday afternoon into the evening when we dealt with this budget. So she is giving leadership at a space where you cannot even imagine what is happening. I also wish to extend my gratitude to my HOD, Mr. Zakaria Hussain, the head official in the Provincial Treasury, and the budget team under the leadership of Harry Malila and the Director General, Advocate Gerber, and all the accounting officers in the various budget votes. I want to express also my thanks to the Ministry, Advocate Pretorius, Mr. Johnson, Ms. Amain de Vos, Ms. Linda Jacobs, Sandre Pina, Zotto Mdingi, and Nicoline Hill. I want to thank them for all their support, as well as the intern in my office, Larissa Venter. Thank you for your support. I would also very much like to thank the chairperson of the Budget Committee and also the chair of the Finance Committee for the work, and all the members of the Budget Committee for their work and oversight over this budget. Deputy Speaker, it gives me now great pleasure to table the 2018 overview of provincial revenue and expenditure, the estimates for provincial revenue and expenditure, the Western Cape 2018-19 Western Cape Appropriation Bill, and associated provincial government gazette, which indicate the allocations to municipalities, the Western Cape Additional Adjustment Budget, the 2017-18 Adjusted Additional Appropriation Bill 2017-18, and the associated Provincial Gazette of allocations to municipalities in this speech for discussions and consideration in this House. I thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Order. The Secretary will read the order. Order. The Secretary will read the bills the first time.
Western Cape Additional Adjustments Appropriation Bill and Western Cape Appropriation Bill.
In accordance with Rule 187.1, the introductory speech, the bills and papers laid upon the table will be referred to the relevant committees for consideration and report. Before we adjourn, I would like to remind members that the Budget Committee will meet immediately after the adjournment of the House. That concludes the business for the day. The House is adjourned.